A wealthy socialite threw a champagne glass at a black woman cleaning the floors. "You missed a spot and people like you need to learn your place," she sneered. The cleaning woman didn't respond. She just kept working quietly. What that socialite didn't know, the woman she just humiliated wasn't a maid at all. She was Dr. Eleanor Price, a retired neurosurgeon worth $47 million. And this mansion she was cleaning, she owned it. Every single room. In the next 20 minutes, that socialite went from laughing to begging for mercy, because Dr. Price didn't just own the mansion. She owned the charity organization that employed the socialite. One phone call would end everything. This is a true story about assumptions, respect, and why you should never judge people by what they're wearing. Before we dive into this incredible story of karma and justice, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We share real stories where arrogance meets its match and respect wins every time. Now let's see how this unfolded. Eleanor Price grew up in rural Mississippi in the 1960s. Her parents worked as sharecroppers, barely making enough to survive. Eleanor was the youngest of 6 children, and they all lived in a 2-room house with no running water. But Eleanor was brilliant. She won scholarships, worked 3 jobs through college, and became one of the first black women to graduate from Johns Hopkins Medical School. She specialized in neurosurgery and spent 35 years saving lives. By the time she retired at 65, Dr. Price had accumulated significant wealth. She invested wisely, owned several properties, and dedicated her life to giving back. She founded the Hope Foundation, a charity that helped underprivileged children get education and health care. Despite her success, Dr. Price never forgot her roots. She still cleaned her own house. She still gardened. She wore simple clothes and drove a regular car. She believed that wealth didn't define character, actions did. Today, at 68 years old, she was preparing her mansion for a charity gala. She was cleaning because she wanted everything perfect, and she trusted her own standards more than anyone else's. Victoria Ashford was 42 years old. She came from old money. Her grandfather made millions in oil, and she'd never worked a real job in her life. She married a wealthy attorney, lived in a penthouse, and spent her days shopping and attending social events. Victoria was the event coordinator for the Hope Foundation's annual gala. She got the position not through merit, but through connections. Her husband's law firm did work for the charity, and she wanted something to make her look philanthropic to her friends. Victoria looked down on anyone she considered beneath her. Service workers, immigrants, anyone who didn't wear designer clothes or drive luxury cars. She treated waiters rudely, snapped at store clerks, and was known for making racist comments at parties. Her friends tolerated her because of her wealth and connections. But behind her back, they called her Victoria the Viper. Dr. Price's mansion was in the prestigious Riverside Estate neighborhood. It was a 10,000-square-foot home with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a garden that looked like something from a magazine. The charity gala was scheduled for Saturday evening. Victoria had been given the address to check the venue and coordinate with caterers. When she arrived at 10 a.m. on Friday morning, she saw a black woman in jeans and a simple t-shirt, on her hands and knees, scrubbing the marble floor in the entryway. Victoria's mind immediately jumped to a conclusion. This was the maid. She didn't ask, she didn't introduce herself. She just assumed, and that assumption would destroy her career. Victoria walked through the front door without knocking. The door was unlocked because Dr. Price was expecting the caterers. "Excuse me," Victoria said sharply. "Who are you? Where's the owner?" Dr. Price looked up from her work. She was wearing a bandana over her hair and rubber gloves. "Can I help you?" she asked politely. "I'm Victoria Ashford, the event coordinator for tomorrow's gala. I need to speak with whoever owns this house immediately." "Are you the maid?" Dr. Price hesitated. She dealt with people like Victoria before, people who made assumptions based on skin color and appearance. She decided to see how far Victoria would go. "I'm cleaning today," Dr. Price said simply, which was true. "Obviously," Victoria said with a laugh. "Well, when you're done with that floor, I need you to make sure the bathrooms are spotless. I'll be bringing some very important guests tomorrow, and everything needs to be perfect." Dr. Price nodded slowly. "I'll make sure everything is clean." "Good," Victoria said, pulling out her phone. "And another thing, make sure you and any other staff aren't visible tomorrow night. Our guests don't need to see the help walking around. Stay in the kitchen or wherever you people usually stay." "You people," Dr. Price repeated quietly. "You know what I mean," Victoria said, not even looking up from her phone. "Service staff. You're here to work, not to mingle." Dr. Price stood up slowly, removing her rubber gloves. Is there anything else you need? Actually, yes, Victoria said, walking further into the house. She ran her finger along a side table and looked at it. This table has dust. If you're going to work here, you need to do better. I've fired maids for less. You've fired maids? Dr. Price asked. Of course. If they can't do their job properly, why keep them? There are plenty of people who need work. You're replaceable. Victoria walked into the living room and gasped. This room is beautiful. The owner must be incredibly wealthy. Do you know who they are? I know exactly who the owner is, Dr. Price said. Well, who? I need to thank them for letting us use the space. You'll meet her tomorrow, Dr. Price said. Her. It's a woman? Victoria looked surprised. I assumed it would be a man. Women rarely have this kind of money unless they married into it. Dr. Price felt her jaw tighten, but she remained calm. Why would you assume that? Oh, you know how it is, Victoria said with a wave of her hand. Most successful people are men, it's just facts, though I suppose she could have inherited it or divorced well. She walked over to a bookshelf and picked up a framed photograph. It showed Dr. Price in her surgical scrubs, standing with a young patient who had just recovered from brain surgery. Is this the owner? Victoria asked. Yes, Dr. Price said. Victoria studied the photo. Well, good for her, I suppose. Probably a nurse or something, saved her money. She put the photo down carelessly. Anyway, I need to talk about the kitchen setup. Follow me. Victoria walked toward the kitchen, expecting Dr. Price to follow like a servant. When they entered the massive gourmet kitchen, Victoria started opening cabinets without permission. These glasses won't work, she declared. They're not elegant enough. Where does the owner keep the good crystal? Those are Waterford crystal, Dr. Price said. They cost $200 each. Well, they look cheap, Victoria snapped. And another thing, the owner needs to move that garden sculpture. It's tacky. Who puts a statue of Frederick Douglass in their garden? No one important knows who that even is. That was the final straw. Frederick Douglass was one of Dr. Price's heroes. That statue had been commissioned specifically for her garden. You think Frederick Douglass isn't important? Dr. Price asked, her voice steady but her eyes blazing. I've never heard of him, Victoria said dismissively. Some old historical figure, I'm sure. The point is, it doesn't fit the aesthetic for tomorrow's event. Have the gardener move it to the back. Dr. Price took a deep breath. Is there anything else you want to criticize about this home? Actually, yes, Victoria said. She picked up a glass from the counter and examined it. This glass has a smudge. This is unacceptable. Then she did something shocking. She threw the glass on the floor and it shattered. That's what happens when you don't do your job properly, Victoria said coldly. Clean it up, and when you see the owner, tell her that if she wants this event to be successful, she needs better staff. People like you make us all look bad. People like me? Dr. Price repeated. Do I really need to spell it out? Victoria said with a cruel smile. You should be grateful to have any job at all. 50 years ago, you wouldn't even be allowed to clean a house like this. Now clean up that glass before someone steps on it. Dr. Price looked at the shattered glass, then back at Victoria. She made a decision. I'll clean it up, Dr. Price said quietly, but first I think you should know something. Dr. Price pulled out her phone and made a call. Victoria watched with an annoyed expression, about to complain about a servant using their phone during work. Hello, Richard, Dr. Price said into the phone. Yes, it's Eleanor. I'm at the Riverside Mansion. Could you come over, please? We have a situation. She hung up and looked at Victoria. Richard will be here in 5 minutes. He's my attorney. Your attorney? Victoria laughed. Maids don't have attorneys. What are you, Dr. Eleanor Price? She interrupted, extending her hand formally. I'm a retired neurosurgeon. I specialized in pediatric brain tumors for 35 years. I own this mansion, and I'm the founder and primary benefactor of the Hope Foundation, the charity you work for. Victoria's face went white. You're lying. Dr. Price walked to her purse on the counter and pulled out her wallet. She showed Victoria her driver's license with this address, her medical license, and a business card that read Dr. Eleanor Price, M.D., founder, Hope Foundation. The photograph you saw earlier, Dr. Price continued. That was me after successfully removing a tumor from a 7-year-old girl's brain. The tacky statue in my garden is Frederick Douglass, one of the greatest Americans who ever lived. And the cheap glasses you insulted are part of a set I bought after my first $1 million year. Victoria's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. You assumed I was a maid because I'm a black woman cleaning my own floor, Dr. Price said, her voice steady. You insulted my home, my choices, and my heritage. You threw a glass on my floor and told me that people like me should be grateful for any job at all. The doorbell rang. Dr. Price walked to answer it, leaving Victoria standing frozen in the kitchen. Richard Chen, Dr. Price's attorney, entered with his briefcase. He was followed by Janet Morrison, the executive director of the Hope Foundation. "Eleanor, what's going on?" Janet asked. "Janet, do you know Victoria Ashford?" Dr. Price asked. "Of course," Janet said. "She's our event coordinator for tomorrow's gala." "Not anymore," Dr. Price said. She turned to Victoria, who looked like she might faint. "Miss Ashford, you're fired from the Hope Foundation, effective immediately." "You can't," Victoria started. "I absolutely can," Dr. Price said. "I'm the founder and the primary donor. The foundation operates because of my financial support, and I will not have someone representing our organization who treats people the way you just treated me." Richard pulled out a document. "Dr. Price, I took the liberty of reviewing Miss Ashford's employment contract. She can be terminated for conduct unbecoming of the organization's values. Given her behavior today, that condition has been met." Janet looked confused. "What happened?" Dr. Price explained everything. Victoria's assumptions, the insults, the broken glass, the racist comments about people like me and how she should be grateful for any job. Janet's face went from confused to horrified to angry. "Victoria, is this true?" "I didn't know," Victoria stammered. "You didn't know she was the owner, so you thought it was acceptable to treat her like that?" Janet said. "That makes it worse, not better." Victoria's voice was shaking now. "Please, I made a mistake. I was stressed about the event." "You weren't stressed," Dr. Price said calmly. "You were being who you really are. You treated me poorly because you thought I was powerless. You thought I couldn't fight back. You were wrong." Victoria was escorted out of the mansion by Richard. As she left, she tried one more time to apologize, but Dr. Price held up her hand. "Your apology means nothing," Dr. Price said. "You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry the maid turned out to be the owner. If I really had been a maid, you'd still think your behavior was acceptable." Victoria opened her mouth to protest, but no words came. She walked to her car, got in, and drove away. The story spread quickly through social circles. Someone at the Hope Foundation leaked what happened, and by evening, everyone knew. Victoria Ashford had insulted and degraded Dr. Eleanor Price, one of the most respected philanthropists in the city. Victoria's phone exploded with messages. Friends distanced themselves. Her husband's law firm heard about the incident and asked him to issue a public statement condemning her behavior. Victoria's social media was flooded with criticism. 3 charity organizations immediately removed her from their boards. Her reputation was destroyed in less than 24 hours. The next evening, the charity gala went on as planned. Dr. Price hired a professional event coordinator on short notice. A young woman named Maria Santos, who treated everyone with respect and did excellent work. The gala raised $2.3 million for the Hope Foundation, a record amount. During her speech, Dr. Price told the story, not naming Victoria but making the lesson clear. "Yesterday, someone came to my home and made assumptions about me based on my appearance," Dr. Price said to the crowd of 300 guests. "They saw a black woman cleaning and assumed I was a maid. They treated me with disrespect, made racist comments, and broke a glass in my home to teach me a lesson about doing my job properly." The crowd gasped. "What they didn't know was that I own that home. I've earned multiple degrees, saved countless lives, and built a fortune through hard work. But even if I had been a maid, their behavior would have been unacceptable. A person's profession does not determine their worth. The color of their skin does not determine their intelligence, and wealth does not give anyone the right to treat others as inferior." The audience gave her a standing ovation that lasted 3 minutes. Victoria tried to rebuild her reputation. She posted an apology on social media. "I made a terrible mistake and showed poor judgment. I'm deeply sorry to Dr. Price and anyone I offended." But the apology felt hollow. People could tell it was about saving face, not genuine remorse. Her husband filed for divorce 2 months later. He said in court papers that her behavior had damaged his professional reputation and that he could no longer be associated with her prejudice. Victoria had to sell her penthouse. Her friends stopped inviting her to events. She became a cautionary tale in wealthy circles, the woman who destroyed her life because she couldn't treat people with basic respect. A year later, Victoria was working a regular job for the first time in her life, as an assistant at a small PR firm, making $40,000 a year instead of living off millions. Dr. Price continued her philanthropic work. The Hope Foundation expanded its programs, providing scholarships to 200 additional students that year. She gave interviews about the incident, using it as a teaching moment. "We live in a society that still judges people by appearance," she told CNN. "But character isn't shown by what you wear or what you look like. Character is shown by how you treat people who can't do anything for you." Schools started using her story in diversity training. Business programs discussed it as an example of unconscious bias. Churches used it in sermons about humility and respect. Maria Santos, the event coordinator who replaced Victoria, became Dr. Price's full-time assistant. Dr. Price mentored her, helped her start her own event planning company, and became a major investor. Maria's business thrived, and she never forgot the lesson: treat everyone with dignity. Dr. Price still cleans her own house sometimes. She still wears simple clothes. She still drives a regular car. Because she knows that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in character. This story teaches us something critical about life. Never judge people by their appearance, their job, or their circumstances. That maid might be a doctor. That janitor might be a millionaire. That delivery driver might be your future boss. But more importantly, even if that person really is just a maid or a janitor or a driver, they still deserve your respect. Every job has dignity. Every person has worth. Victoria Ashford lost everything because she believed wealth made her superior. She treated someone poorly because she thought they were powerless. She was wrong on both counts. Dr. Eleanor Price won because she never forgot where she came from. She never let success make her arrogant. She never thought wealth exempted her from doing her own work. And when someone disrespected her, she didn't need to prove her worth. She let their actions prove their character. The next time you're tempted to judge someone by what they're wearing or what job they're doing, remember this story. Remember that assumptions are dangerous. Remember that respect should be given freely, not earned through status. As Dr. Price said in her speech, "How you treat people who can do nothing for you reveals everything about who you really are." If this story moved you or taught you something valuable, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel right now. We share real stories about karma, justice, and respect winning over arrogance. Drop a comment and tell us, have you ever been judged by your appearance? How did you handle it? Hit that notification bell so you never miss when someone learns this lesson the hard way. Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a book by its cover because that book might own the entire library. See you in the next story.